This message comes from Greenlight. Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get started risk-free at greenlight.com/Wondery.
Looking for your best sleep ever? Sleep Number smart beds are literally made for you. They adapt to your changing needs. So whether you're dealing with sore muscles or running hot at night, your bed automatically adjusts for optimal comfort. Want softer, firmer, cooler, warmer? With personalized firmness settings and temperature control that cools up to 20 times faster than leading competitors, you'll get the perfect sleep environment every night. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? So you can choose your ideal comfort on either side. And now it's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event, up to 50% off, limited time, exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. See store or sleepnumber.com for details.
This is Reusse. You've been hearing my friend Josh Arnold, Mr. Money Talk, for years on the Radio and Garage Logic podcast. I strongly recommend you sit down with Josh for your no-cost, no-obligation, 48-minute consultation on your investments, including your IRA and 401k. You can benefit from Josh's years of experience navigating different market and economic conditions, and he'll always give you straight talk and not sugar-coated advice. Give Josh a call now at 952-925-5608 to book your no-cost, no-obligation 48-minute consultation. That's 952-925-5608. You'll be glad that you did, and tell him Reusse sent you. Don't forget to ask, why is it 48 minutes, Josh?
Investment services offered by Josh Arnold Investment Consultant, LLC, a security investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results. All investments involve risk. All comments and opinions are Josh Arnold's and do not constitute investment advice.
Patrick Reusse is a paid endorser.
Man, I wish I could watch the Twins.
Today,
He keep threatening to help me.
1-1 at last report. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
now.
Wallner hit an absolute tank.
He hit a home run. Then they hit a home run. Trey Turner. The Twins went with the opener, had the left-hander face two batters, and then they brought in the starter. And he Festa pitched better. I was listening to him.
I don't like that idea. What is that?
You got Schwarber, who's in a huge slump, but you're afraid to face him to start the game. I don't quite get it.
Well, after the home run Harper hit to open the series, I'd be a little afraid. That was an absolute missile.
I missed that, but but that was Monday evening, right?
Well, you know,
I was still fighting to get on a Delta flight in Philly.
You saw you didn't see the home run. You might have heard about it on the radio.
No, I don't get to see the Twins.
So Harper hits a ball that, clears the gate, basically, but was in the air for about 5 seconds. Mm-hmm. That thing was, that kid can hit the ball.
Okay, I got a story to tell you. You ready?
I am.
So 2 years ago, I've told you this, when I was out for Tony and Jim Cott in Cooperstown, we stayed in Utica. Mm-hmm. And I told you the Save the Met fellas were there in the same hotel.
Yep.
And
you had to tell them to pipe down.
They were overserved. Yeah. And particularly Marty, Marty's who'd been around forever, was doing his Sid impersonation at like 3 o'clock in the morning very loudly in the next hotel room. And I had to tell him to pipe down. Now, the Save the Met guys were there again, but I never ran across them. I was staying in the town in a 90-year-old house that was very dangerous. No banish, no railings, walking up and down the steps, and that's so even 2 steps at a time.
I like railings.
I do too. And they also had a nice place to take a shower downstairs. The shower upstairs wasn't good, but so you could go down. It was a nicer shower, but it was a 1.5 step down.
Into it?
2 feet. When you're coming out of it, you had to step up. That wasn't so bad, but stepping down. Yeah. Anyway, so I get this text from Marty. This because they were there and they didn't meet me. He said, he has something to tell me that's pretty heavy. I met a guy in Cooperstown on Saturday waiting for the parade to commence. I was in the hardball cage. I don't know what that means. Met a bunch of guys from New York, Massachusetts who come annually. One of them was a dead ringer for you. He was around 50, give or take. An attorney employed by the state of New York, based in New York City. Pretty cool guy, highly intelligent. He had the same stocky build as you. In other words, he was fat. And facially, now damn it, facially, whereas pretty cool guy. He took down your name on his phone and also looked up in the Star Tribune. He might drop names if he reaches. He said some of his forebears did branch out to the Midwest, and the women came back and the men did. Some DNA was probably spread around. In other words, Marty thinks he found my 25-year-old brother out in Cooperstown, and I want to know how much he drank this time. He thinks he found my 20. He's around 50. I'm 78, Marty. So in other words, the suspected soldier who came back to southern Minnesota and banged this young woman who then went somewhere and had the baby and gave it to an orphanage. Mom, whoever the hell is this Irish lass, somehow
that Marty's got that.
Somehow the soldier dad went out east and started banging chicks. So anyway, so Marty found my brother this time. It was and Julian, who's of course the leader of the pack. You know Julian. Yeah. Julian said, "Well, he did look a lot like you." I said, "Well, just so does John Candy."
You know, did they have their Save the Met banners, their bed sheets with Save the Met?
They still have one, not kind of a big one.
But and God love them. But hasn't the development of a beautiful outdoor park here kind of muted
they just stayed together to drink, and party, and they still.
Everyone's got to have a cause, Joe.
You know, they've gone to Cuba to watch baseball as a group a couple of times. They've done these, and it's just kind of they stay together, and they're still the same rapscallion bunch they are. Although I'm sure they've lost some members.
Hey, what happened to that idea? Weren't we going to do that?
Go to Cuba?
Weren't we going to go to Cuba?
I ain't going to Cuba. They screw up your ears.
What?
No, they poison your ears.
They just give you bad sounds?
They give you those bad brain waves in your ear.
Why do they want to do that?
Because they're evil.
Is that what happened to RFK?
They're commies.
Is that what happened to RFK?
No, it happened to some. It was a major story. It's happened to State Department people where they're staying in a hotel.
But if we're not working for the State Department.
They don't know that, though. They might think we do. No, I'm not going anywhere where they screw with your ears.
Hearings. My hearing's still good, but it's not the case with everybody in the household. So
but it's worse than that. It messes up your brain.
Oh, okay.
These people got very ill and troubled and.
You know, we should make peace with them Cubans, man. You know, that's right there. Nice place to go visit.
Yeah, it's a shame those people there are just kept under such burden, you know.
You got to run out of Castros pretty soon, don't they? I don't know.
You would think so.
Well, anyway, they found I didn't see my cousin. Now, you and I, one trait we have, when there aren't many that is similar, is impatience. Mm-hmm. So the wading into the Delta situation on Monday was, first of all, going on Thursday, we were going to get to Philly early, as I told you, and walk around.
But that was pre-computer crash.
That was bad weather in the east. They had a big storm in the east.
Right.
And that was bad weather. But then the crash must have been Friday, right?
It was Friday, yep.
And
at which point you've already driven to Cooperstown.
And we were okay. But Monday, we get to Philadelphia, and the 6:05 flight is obviously not going to go. But there's two Minneapolis flights, and it's now about 8:40 or 50, and the one that was supposed to leave at 2 in the afternoon is just leaving, and the next gate is the one that's supposed to be coming to pick us up. And there's...
Are you in LaGuardia or Philly?
No, Philly's
I didn't realize how close of a drive that is. It's only 4.5 hours.
Yeah, it was.
I did not realize that.
And it's you get to go through the Poconos. That's kind of fun. Yeah. So, anyway, there's 3 seats left. All of a sudden, they come out and that's we got room for 3, and at that point, there's 50 people. We're kind of semi-early arrivers for the other flight, even though it's already 2.5 hours late. But there's other people drinking. You get to see the worst of humankind when there's 3 seats left on a plane that you have a hint that's probably going to be the last one leaving.
Did you say you saw behavior that makes us look patient?
Yes, it was. You know who are really the jackasses?
Women.
No, well, the non-revs who know the way around, and they keep giving you bad information to get you to
leave,
go somewhere else, or lose your concentration, and then boom, they're on. There was some mouthy woman there that was giving us all instructions, and then as soon as the door opened, she ran off like a. Anyway, it was awful. But you should have seen it when we get landed.
Tell me about leaving. What plane did you get on?
That plane showed up. It was 3 hours late, but we were all worried that the pilot was going to time out because you hear this, but they didn't, and we, the flight was fine, but it was just 3 hours late. But we arrive, and the airport is like Thanksgiving Eve.
Right here at Minneapolis.
Yes, Minneapolis. People, this is at damn near midnight. It is jammed. There's people laying in the in the corridors on the way to the gate. And I don't know, some people smart enough to bring their own sleeping bags. I guess this young woman was sitting there like looking at it. And I looked down and I said, "How long you been here?" And she says, 10 hours, and I got 10 more to go. Wow. Laying on the floor. Oof. But then we get down to the baggage claim, and there's at least 1,500 people down there trying to get their bags.
Oh, my God.
At the various bags. And there's bags stacked up all over, and they're saying your bags are at gate 8, so we're all waiting at 8, and some guy just comes down and says, "I just found my wife's bag at 6. She's on the flight." Everybody goes running down to 6, and it was at 6. But anyway, that was a minor screw up. Then, as we're waiting, you're looking across the way where they got the cabs, and you got the lanes of traffic, and then you got a little empty space, and then you got the Uber line, the Uber area, and the taxi area, and there are 800 people there.
Oh, my God.
Unbelievable.
This is midnight Monday?
Yeah, midnight Monday. So we get over there. The taxi line is, 150 long. So that'd be 2 hours because there's only like 8 cabs left in the entire city because it's all Ubers. And the Uber thing is just chaos. So I try to go rent a car. I was going to go to the National, use my Emerald Isle, and grab a car. And she says, "Everything's gone." I said, "Can't be gone." She said, "Everything's rented. Everything's reserved." I said, "I'll take that Lamborghini. I don't care what it costs. For 24." She said, "No, that's rented too." So now we go back. I put Uber in my phone.
Should have called me.
Well, I'm not going to do that.
I'm 5 minutes away.
I call the Uber guy. I don't know if he could have ever found us. So my Uber guy, I get a Uber guy there in about 20, 25 minutes, and he drives us home. So it took, but he was a nice guy, a guy from Kenya originally. But the bottom line is, he and I had a damn good laugh about the U.S. basketball team almost losing to South Sudan. Yes. Taking a last-minute heroics to beat South Sudan, this great Olympic team.
Do you know what I thought your reaction to that was going to be? No wonder we had to split them up. They're a basketball powerhouse.
That's right. We couldn't have beaten all of Sudan.
Not all of Sudan.
Thank God they had a civil war that killed hundreds of thousands. If not, we would have lost to them.
To Sudan.
At what point you're in Philly.
Yes.
What if they tell you, what if you get wind of the idea that you're going to be delayed, I'll just pick a number, 10 hours. And now you're looking at staying in that airport for 10 hours. Do you go and buy a car? And I'm being deadly serious.
Rent a car and drive it home?
Or rent or buy.
I don't think I'd buy a car.
But at some point, I would be in the buy situation.
Yes, yeah, even though...
Or rental, obviously,
plus,
first.
Plus, the other thing is, if when we first got down there, which was like 6:30, and we were supposed to leave at 6, but that was off the board. People in the line at Salt Lake, going to Salt Lake, and there's 60 people in line, and they're getting ready, and they've announced the pilot should be here in a half hour, but we should be going out here at about 8 o'clock, which was 3 hours late, 4 hours late. 10 minutes later, your flight has been canceled. There will be no flight to Salt Lake tonight. And you can pick up your bags in about an hour down at baggage claim. And we can't get you out till Wednesday at the earliest. And you know what I found out?
That's today.
Yes. You know what I found out? Mormons will swear.
Really?
Yeah. They might be religious and have a proper upbringing, but...
On 9/11, George Will happened to be in town. When he looked out the window, he saw a Hansard Pontiac Jaguar. Walked over, bought a Jaguar, and drove back to Washington.
Is that right? Well, George was probably a little more well-to-do than me, but...
It's funny you say that, Joe, because as Patrick was telling that tale, I'm looking at a map from Cooperstown back to the Twin Cities and thinking, he would have been better off just driving home instead of going to the airport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people you saw at the airport here on Monday who were waiting for a flight to Chicago, because they seriously could have been home twice driving.
Yeah. Well, and Delta apparently, probably because of the size of them. By the way, the company that sent out this bad update, I'm glad I'm not a stockholder. That stuff has had to crash, hasn't it?
I'm sure it's not doing well.
What's the name of it again? Classic Rodeo or something like that?
It's not.
Clickbait or some damn thing. I can't remember what it is, but so there's some weenie there at 11 o'clock.
CrowdStrike.
So there's some weenie there at 11 o'clock at night. He said, this looks pretty good. I'll send this to the whole world and see how it works out.
It wasn't checked out enough.
Wow.
It wasn't test-driven enough.
Obviously.
Why only Delta is suffering?
Well, no, United was screwed up.
No, but everybody's back on track now except Delta.
I think maybe because of their size. I don't know.
Maybe you had the aviation expert in here an hour ago.
He hadn't been briefed.
Maybe they rely. Maybe they rely more on this Microsoft than everybody else.
Does Pat know that?
But
part about Rookie's job description?
He gets briefed.
Every Tuesday, Joe asked one day, this is a while back, months, if not years ago, he says, hey, dummy, what are you doing? He's like, I'm being briefed.
He gets briefed.
On matters at the airport.
Security clearances and things like that.
Yeah, well, the airline he works for probably didn't have this problem because I don't.
Well, he no longer works for an airline.
Oh, really?
He works for.
He's in upper management.
I thought he worked for the other.
No, he
now works for the MSP.
He works for IMS.
He works for a big company that's contracted with the airport.
Yes.
Okay.
I have
like security. So they probably don't like it when he comes in there and cracks jokes and stuff like this.
No,
and these big meetings trying to determine the.
Well, we've told you some of the stories,
Yeah.
You've been to Naples story. You've heard that one.
Yeah.
I have the full field in front of me of the 3M Open, which begins. It's underway right now with amateurs playing, right?
It's the Pro-Am today, yes.
Yeah. And starts tomorrow in earnest.
I hope for Hollis' sake they got the golfers there to play in the Pro-Am.
Well, he's going to have a hell of a weekend of weather.
Yeah,
you couldn't have a better weekend of weather.
I'm up there Thursday and Saturday, I believe.
Aaron Baddeley, you know him.
I did a column on him last year. I got to tell you, Joe, you know this. once in a while you get lucky, right? You just go to talk to a guy because my story on him was going to be, you know, he was supposed to be great. He was supposed to be this phenomenon. And he won the Australian Open as a, 17-year-old or 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And as I'm BSing with him, you know, Minnesota, blah, blah. Well, my wife's college roommate and best friend is from Waseca. So we got and then they're staying in Waseca. So I said, local angle about an Australian.
Such,
country.
How come you never golf in that, out of curiosity?
Well, two reasons. One, I've never been asked, and two, I probably wouldn't be good enough.
Oh, I know guys that are.
Oh, they've had some hacks playing.
Yeah.
But not to suggest you're a hack.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
not
I
suggesting
would
you're a hack.
suggest that.
Or you also don't
You
have.
know, it's a long day. It's a long
I've
day.
never been confronted by it.
That's interesting.
Have you managed to successfully avoid charity golf tournaments?
Yes.
Have you never gotten you?
A couple over the years. We used to have our own.
Yeah, that one, yeah.
But yeah, I'm successful in not having.
Yeah,
been.
I played in Shavers about 3 times, and then when I got the invite, I would just send a check and say I can't make it.
I get
worth
invited every year to Augie's. I send a check.
Yeah, it was worth. Augie's is off the board now,
Yeah.
but it was worth just sending out a quick $250 and not play in one of those damn 7-hour marathons.
Akshay Bhatia is here.
He's playing.
Very interesting guy.
Won a tournament.
Oh yeah, Daniel Berger, Keegan Bradley, Joseph Bramlett.
Keegan Bradley, Dowdy Ryder Cup.
That's
captain.
right. Sam Burns.
Good player. What's he?
He had a hell of a run at
Arnie's grandson.
No, you're thinking of somebody else.
I thought Sam Burns was good.
No.
Okay.
No, Cameron Champ.
Yeah, he's a former champion here.
Stuart Sink.
Yeah, Stewart playing. I think isn't Stewart can play with the seniors if he wants to now, right?
Joel Damon, which is interesting because he could win here, and he's never won. And
Did he win earlier this year?
Maybe he did.
He didn't win this year. That was the story, yeah.
Cam Davis. Adrian Dumont de Chessart.
Don't know
I don't either, but it's a neat name.
Oh, it is.
Nick Dunlap, who just won the Barracuda.
As a kid.
Yeah.
He's just turned pro after being the low AM in the U.S. Open.
Tony Finau.
He's won here.
He's won here.
Still playing good.
And he's loyal to places that he's won, so
Yes.
he's bad. Lucas Glover is capable.
Tony bringing all his kids. I think Tony brings all his kids.
Tony always brings
when he-
all the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lucas Glover, Emiliano Grillo.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Yeah, he's a good player. Bill Haas, Chesson Hadley, Adam Hadwin. These are all good players.
Canadian. Hadwin was trying to. If Hadden had made one more birdie in a tournament a month ago, he'd be an Canadian Olympic.
Lee Hodges, Charlie Hoffman.
Lee Hodges, defending champion. Charlie almost ended his long losing streak.
Tom Hoagie.
Yeah, great player from
Great.
Fargo.
Billy Horschel.
Yeah, just about all.
Damn near won the
British
Open.
Open, yeah.
Bo Hostler. Mackenzie Hughes. Zach Johnson. This is not a bad field.
No, there's players.
This is a hell of a field.
There's some
Kevin Kisner. Kurt Katayama.
I don't know him.
Patton Kazire.
He's not a bad player.
Are you making up names?
No.
No, I'm looking at him right here on the sheet. I got the whole.
Owen Wilson.
Why is he still here?
Go tighten up that security at the airport, will
Get
you?
over there right now.
Yeah.
Sean O'Hare, Taylor Pendrith, Scott Piercy. He's been around a long time.
Yes.
J.T. Poston, Seamus Power, Shez Reevy, Patrick Rogers, Justin Rose, unfortunately, is
Vacated the
canceled.
premises, yeah.
Sam Ryder. Now, is he Arnold's guy, maybe? Sam Ryder?
No. But he was in contention at the British for 2 rounds, I think.
Who else do we got here? Brant Snedeker. He's here. J.J. Spawn.
Is Brant
Kevin
Snedeker-
Streelman.
is that-
Justin Suh.
Is Brant Snedeker getting close to the seniors?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we got Thigala Sahith.
There's my pick. My pick to
Actually,
click.
it's Sahith Thigala, isn't it?
Yes, Heath Tignala is a hell of a player. Hollis had him here when he was right out of college and gave him an exemption right out of college.
Eric Van Ruyen.
Yeah, we're rooting for him because he passed up the Olympic opening ceremony to be here because he's of his Gopher connection.
Gary Woodland. Brandon Wu. A lot of Woos. There's a Brandon Wu, Kevin Wu, and Dylan Wu.
Oh, we got
but
three
Kevin's
Wus.
U. The other two are WU.
Okay, I don't know those guys.
All right, that's not a bad
good.
field
No,
at
it's
all.
Okay, they got players.
Will they draw? Will it draw? Well?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
going to be a wonderful weekend
Yes,
to see
it
these
is.
guys.
Good and steamy.
Yes.
What's the twin score right now?
I can look it up for you, sir.
Okay, it was 1-1 last I saw it. But how about the crowd that the Milwaukee Brewers created on Saturday night? The largest crowd in Target Field history.
4-1 Phillies in the bottom of the seventh right now.
All right.
I wish I could see them on TV.
Yeah,
Pat, I had a firsthand report that there were so many people at Target Field on Saturday.
How many people were there?
You couldn't.
41
It was
something.
This person was also in attendance for the All-Star game and said it was more crowded on Saturday. They thought.
And
Did the Twins win?
No, they blew it.
Of
Santana
course,
hit the
they
two-run
lost.
bomb to tie it in the 10th, and
They
then
lost
they just
both games.
And they lost both.
But it should have been a 3-game series. Friday night,
Why
you should
didn't they
have
play
40
Friday?
because they only play each other 4 times. Next year, your rival, the other league rival, you're going to go back to playing 6 times.
Okay.
But for about the last 5 or 6 years, you've only played them 4, so it's 2-2. But the Twins and the Brewers were the only teams that took a 5-day All-Star break. Everybody else took 4.
Okay.
But 41,000. Those Brewer fans were obnoxious.
And
to
by
it,
the
I
way,
guess.
that's a good club. Milwaukee's got a good team.
And they got a lot. We're big spenders compared to them. They're down about $100 million.
Well, they got kids. I mean, half their lineup
payroll.
is young.
Yeah, they cut a lot of their payroll.
Because I like the third baseman they got from Baltimore. He's a good player. Ortiz.
Okay.
Did last night go to extra innings?
No,
Or did
they
Philly
lost
win it in the ninth?
They won it in the ninth.
It was 0-0, and then they scored 3 in the ninth.
Yep.
Say, I got a question for you. The Olympics start Friday in Paris.
All right.
Not being there, do you watch much?
I'm not a Summer Olympics guy. I like the Winter Games.
Does the bride watch the
I'm sure
Summer
she'll
Games?
find something to watch.
Now, the wife was going through the streaming service where you could tape various events in advance, like all the volleyball or something. And she was asking me, what's that little sign mean? Like the volleyball players are going like that. She's going to have a lot of stuff she got like 8-9 sports that she's, and I keep telling her, okay, you click swimming. That means they're going to show you the preliminary. You got hours of swimming here, dear. I think you should just kind of look and see what's on and decide whether you want to watch it or not.
I like the Winter Games.
Yeah, I think certainly in this state, the winter has better ratings. It's also the time of year, people are at,
But
doing
in
stuff.
our role as commissioners of the Professional Pole Vaulting League,
Yes.
we probably should tune in for that.
Yes, we should.
A woman by the name of, last name was Hall, was suggested as that should have been the flag bearer instead of LeBron James by Mr. Fred
What is
Maloney.
Snoop Dogg doing? He's got some role.
What was her name?
Snoop Dogg is carrying the torch.
Miss Hall. I'm
trying to find her
What'd
first
she
name.
do for a sport? Well,
Anna Hall is a pole vaulter.
Oh, really? Good
We
for
should
her.
know that as commissioners.
And
Yes.
I would say that she
First
would
round
pass.
draft choice?
She would pass the
Is he a
test.
first-round pick?
100%. Might be first overall.
Now,
yeah.
the other contender is the gymnast that the Skeens has for a girlfriend.
Oh, I didn't know.
LSU
Yeah, but she's
girl.
an Olympian.
Didn't she make the team?
I don't even think she went out for the team.
Oh, well, then she's too busy on Instagram making $4 or $5 million.
Are we
a
talking
year.
about Skeen's girlfriend?
Yeah.
Olivia Dunn?
Yeah.
She's not on the team?
I believe she is not an Olympian.
Wow. I thought she was an Olympian.
She showed up with him at the All-Star game.
I'll say she did.
Yeah.
She has a sister, doesn't she?
He's got acne. What is she doing with him now? Let's clean up the acne.
Wait, are the
for
Dunn
God's sake.
sisters? Are there two of them? Who am I thinking of? Aren't there two Dunns? Olivia and somebody else?
No, I just know. I didn't even know there was one until about. I said it was Skeen's girlfriend, and then how much money she made on Instagram, and I said, "Well, I think I owe myself an obligation to check her out."
Well, I think you do.
So anyway,
Yeah.
so that one's not going to last, though.
You don't think so?
No, big galoot. He's.
I wonder
kind
where
of
they're going to hold
kind
the
of a
sailing.
boring guy.
Where are they going to hold the sailing?
I don't know. But they probably. My wife asked the same question. Are they going to go down to Marseille?
They got to
or
go to
something?
the ocean someplace.
Yeah, Marseille probably.
I don't think France has big lakes
No,
that I'm aware of.
I am aware of either. So.
Yeah,
She was, apparently, she was in the SI swimsuit issue.
Could you do me a favor and find out if she has a sister that's also a gymnast? But why am I
I'm
thinking?
a little busy right now.
Well, I think I don't know why I believe there's two of them.
Olivia Dunn's sister, there is a story from the New York Post.
I think they're both gymnasts for, was it LSU?
Yes, I'm trying to find her first name here. How do you pronounce this? Olivia Dunn and her sister Julz, Jules.
Oh,
Jules,
maybe
Just unusual spelling of Jules.
Must be, yes.
She's attractive too.
She's yes.
Okay, well,
Is she a gymnast for LSU?
It does, according to this story, it does not say that she is, but she says that she's part of her team, and I would imagine that's her social media campaign.
She's got to have a team.
Well,
You gotta
because
have a team.
she's become a millionaire by being an influencer on
That's-
social media.
now
Why don't we try
Now
that?
you got Kyle Shealy.
Yeah.
Kyle is kind of where's Kyle fit in the team now that we have?
Kyle will be our go-to behind-the-scenes social media YouTube guy.
And kind of tell you what's coming in and out.
Sure. Here's what you might want to do with this kind of thing and that kind of thing. Yes.
Right now, I just intend to just ride him like a rented mule to get that fare booked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's got.
I think
to be the
he's.
booker?
I think so. I think he's volunteering to
Because
be.
you know what? I hate to say this, but now that he has a full-time job keeping us safe at the airport, rookie, his guest accumulation.
No, it's fallen off.
It's fallen off. You
To
go
zero.
Back to the same.
Pat,
You go back to the same people all the time.
as long as we brought up Olivia Dunn, social media, there's a lot of stuff out there that's confusing to me and to the three of us, right? As far as, well, how does that work? And I don't think Joe would mind me sharing this. I wish you could have been here when, I believe it was on Monday before the show, he had a 6-minute tirade about why the Hawk Tua girl became an overnight sensation.
Okay.
And I had to explain, well, Joe, that's just,
No, that
we're
don't-
doomed as a country.
The world's over. It's over.
Was she the girl who showed us her private?
No. She got a
No, I
microphone.
don't want to go into it.
No.
I know, but you had a really good
Who was,
I just say
synopsis
the world's
of
over.
why the world is over.
who was the girl who was embarrassed when she flashed? at
That's the
hockey-
Oilers fan.
At the hockey game, and now she's on internet.
She's going
trying
to
make-
Playboy.
Now she's trying to make millions on it.
And I don't
after
blame
being
her.
embarrassed.
I
after
would
being
too.
Embarrassed. Does Playboy still exist?
Online mostly.
Mostly. Yeah. Okay. It's.
The world is doomed. he
It's
said.
over. It's just you can't have somebody get famous for that. It's just over. It's not allowed. That's just not acceptable.
Oh, it was
now, do we have any
fantastic.
sports topic to discuss?
yes, from a listener on this day
July 24th.
in 1983. At Yankee Stadium, George Brett went insane.
Yes.
Because Kenny had asked me the question about, well, why wasn't this pointed out before his at bat? And I said, well, he hit the home run, and Billy Martin is the one that pointed it out. Correct? Isn't that the sequence?
Was it Billy? Okay.
I think it was.
They had pine tar too high on the bat. right?
Correct. Because it can't be longer than the plate.
Yes.
From the
Yeah,
top
George.
of the barrel.
Speaking of George, I saw him Friday talking with Rodney.
Oh, sure.
In the hotel lobby, because on Friday they have a BBWAA, Baseball Writers, little reception on the veranda with free booze,
Yeah.
and finger food. So we get to walk through the hotel, and you can go downstairs and eat, but you can't be. They try to give some privacy. But George and Rodney were talking, and a lot of base hits and that.
Oof.
And George was talking, and everybody was laughing, as normally is the case.
He was holding
Would have been
court.
telling a story.
Yeah,
He's good for that twice a year.
I won't play. You want me to play it?
No.
Let's not play it again.
How'd the lake look? Did you take a gander at the
looked
lake?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
High. Looked high because I've had a lot of rain too.
Yeah.
And but they had the reception for my late great friend Fraley and also Joe Castiglione from the Red Sox, the announcer guy that they're honoring, out at the Glimmerglass Opera House.
Oh, boy.
9.5 miles from downtown along this winding road that goes around the lake. Have you been on that?
Yes, we did when we were there for...
And
Puck.
there were some driveways. Now there's sometimes houses and stuff are stuck on the shore, but
we call those camps, Patrick.
most of them are over. Most of them are over on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
They had driveways, honest to God, that were like straight up and down. And I'm thinking, in the winter, they get snow there in Cooperstown.
Oh, yeah.
How do you get up there?
You probably don't go there in the winter.
You can't get up there, but how are you going to stop before you're in the lake? That's what I want to know. Yeah, they just close them down, I suppose.
Those are their summer camps. We call them cottages.
I think prior to April 27th, 1981, and a foggy night, I would not have wanted to been driving on that road.
No.
A little twisty. I'd hate to do it hammered. You'd end up. They must have. They must have some.
How
There's got to be some lakes. There got to be some cars in that lake.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Some by accident too.
I think so.
How many living Hall of Famers show up every year?
48 this year. 48.
48.
But Rodney was really in bad shape because
Why?
he's got a new knee. So he's got the cane. So he was basically being helped all around. Plus, he's a little frail. He's had the new heart for.
I know, but the heart worked.
The heart's working, but he's 78 years old. And as I always tell him, he just didn't stay in as good a shape as me his whole life, even though we're the same age. I said, you should have taken better care of yourself, Rodney.
More Diet Coke,
Yeah,
Rodney.
right. More Diet Coke. He looked tough, and he was hard for him to talk about his usual optimism, but Tony.
This current problem's a knee problem.
No, that's why he was getting along with.
So he's going to
Kane.
get back on his feet.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
and he'll be back here for the Hall of Fame for Terry Ryan and Stelly too, on August 11th or
Something
whatever
like
it is.
that. Yeah, I heard Terry was on the radio talking about it. Yeah.
And then Tony was 86 on Saturday. So my disappointment in Joe's low-key speech, he didn't throw a plug in for the two greatest left-handed hitters in Twins history that are wearing caps in the Hall of Fame along with him now. Yep. I wish he would have. But I'm sure that speech sounded like something his wife wrote for him 6 weeks ago and said, read this because you're not a real,
Even the part about the fam? Because he mentioned Grandpa a couple times. I thought that was kind of cool.
It was okay. But
not enough has been made out of the fact that it's amazing that he's alive, Maurer.
Really?
He keeps saying, well, we played baseball in the backyard. No, they played in the front yard on Lexington. It's amazing he didn't get wiped out by a car.
Somebody had to run out there and
to get the
hit
ball.
By a car. By the way, I met his aunt, Jean.
Okay.
Teresa's older sister by 2 years.
Yep.
And she was the first Miss Basketball in Minnesota, 1977, I believe, because they were at St. Paul Central when it was the big powerhouse with Lissa Moore and Linda Roberts, and Teresa was a guard on that and a very good athlete too. But Jean went to Creighton and pitched softball, but she was a great basketball player, too. She's 63. She looks 35. It's unbelievable.
Really?
I said, I didn't say anything, but I'm saying, how does this work? She hasn't aged. It's a very upbeat personality, and they had a reception on Saturday night. Twins, just like they did for Tony and
Was
Cotton.
it the same place where they had one for Puck?
I think so.
Yeah.
And that was great. I mean,
it's on the
food
lake.
And drink, and right at the Fenimore Museum.
Yeah.
And it's out in the lake, and it's and they got that again this year. But they had all 10 of their guys who played for them, obviously except Harmon and Puck, that the Hall of Famers were all there. But you had Cott, Blyleven, and who am I missing? They're three Hall of Fame
Tony
pitchers.
Morris,
Blyleven,
Morris, Jack
Blyleven,
Morris.
and who you pitching in game one? With that three, with Cott, and then the rest of them. But you know who else showed up? Big Poppy.
Really?
So I was wondering if he and Terry had a good reunion or something. Because Terry was around there, but
were Poppy and Joe? They were never teammates, were they?
No. Joe's rookie year was 03. 03, and Poppy was gone in 02. But in retrospect, you can't blame him for really making room on the roster by letting Poppy go for drafting Jose Morban. That was Jose Morban did hit 3 home runs in the big leagues, except they were all for Baltimore. But anyway,
But other than that, he had a hell of a run.
That is, worst decisions ever in Minnesota sports? A1.
Yeah, it's
A1.
Even more than the Herschel
But you
trade.
wouldn't have kept him the whole time. Oh, yeah, more than the Herschel trade. Because they actually won games after the Herschel trade.
True.
They raided the USFL.
And he helped Boston win 3 World Series and became a Hall of Fame baseball
hit
player.
500 home runs. But
Other than that.
he did take a shot at us, and he came out for the reception for Castiglione, and they interviewed him up there, and he said, well, he saluting the Boston fans and said, of course, with Minnesota, you pretty much played in front of your family. He said, well, his last year, they beat the Moneyballers. They won more games than the Red Sox.
And they drew well.
They drew 1.925 in the Metrodome, which was one of their biggest seasons ever in the Metrodome. But, as I said on Twitter, you still got to question the release. You know. But anyway.
Are there guys in the Hall of Fame with shorter careers than Mauer?
Oh, God, yeah.
I think
Koufax.
so. Sandy
Koufax. Johnny, Timmy Kirkjian told me a great Koufax story. Timmy was on a bus going somewhere, and Koufax comes in, and he's got the only seat left. And Koufax sits down, and Tim's saying, okay, Koufax is famous for not wanting to get involved in these conversations. Mm-hmm. Oh, you were so great and all this stuff, praising. He wasn't there, by the way. I think he had COVID. But he says to him, could you dunk when you played basketball at the University of Cincinnati? Because he played basketball there. And he said, Koufax says, yes, I could dunk one-handed. Look at these hands. Mm-hmm. And I guess I'd forgotten he had massive hands for a 6-foot guy and an extra long arm. That was one of the reasons. Well, one of the reasons that he was a great pitcher was, they talk about like Ober now he's releasing the ball from a foot closer than everybody else is. Mm-hmm. And Koufax was the same way, and he could take that baseball and it disappeared.
He doesn't look like a guy that would have big hands.
No, but he's huge. I guess he was. I forgot, but he was famous for his huge hands. And he was a good basketball player at University of Cincinnati in the mid '50s. So, anyway, he wasn't there. Who was? But the prices they're charging now at this place for their stuff is the rentals.
I can't even imagine.
The rentals, the room, hotel rooms are like when we were out there back when I was out there, even in 2002, it was, you could get a spot for $200 a night. Now we paid half for a house was $1,900 for 3 nights, and it was a dump.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. But it was close. It was a close dump.
Yeah.
It was
You
right
didn't
up
have to
the
go
hill.
far, at least.
No, you didn't have to go far.
You found it okay. You didn't wander into the wrong place.
No. It's easy address to remember. 6 Hill Street.
6.
And I
6.
do believe, Pat, Friday, your appearance in Garage Logic, I think that's the first time we've ever been hung up on twice by a guest.
And that was in. Do not.
A little bit of the flaws was taking place.
Flaws were good. I'll tell you. I gotta admit. I think this might have been the last one we take together.
Oh.
If she wants to go
Separate planes.
She wants to do separate planes.
Planes.
Planes, we always sit on separate sides of the aisle and stuff, never elbow to elbow. But, I think it's just, you want to go to San Diego,
See you later.
take one of the grandkids, have a good time, and if I want to go, I'm just going to go, okay?
I think
did
that's
tell
smart.
Linneman, the last 2 World Series, my last 2 Hall of Fames, I've gone with a partner.
Mm-hmm.
And I much prefer him over Mrs. Reusse and the way things went. They did not, because there were complications.
There are.
And they become my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, I did not cancel the flight.
Yes, nor did I. You know what gets you in the game of flaws? You take the punch, right?
Yeah.
Then you're okay. You take the punch. And then the punch has to be delivered again and again. And that's,
And at some point,
punch.
you
Throw
want to
one-
stop taking
Throw
it.
one punch. No, and the same issue.
Right.
If there's a new issue that arrives,
That's a different
then go
story.
ahead and
That's a
throw
new
another-
punch.
Go throw another punch.
Right.
But you can't keep punching about the same eye. We've established that I screwed up on that issue. Okay, let's go on with
Let's
our
move
lives.
on.
Yes, let's move on. That should be right in the game, right in the rules.
Yeah, there should be official rules.
Yes, there should be. That's right. But plus, I think I was I've been there 6 times now, I believe. If you count going there with the Twins for an exhibition game when it used to be played on the day of the event, when I was covering them in the mid-'70s, I think it's 7. But I think I look at the horizon and I don't see the next Twin. Do you? I think this was
Korea.
it. Yeah, that wouldn't be.
On Main Street, did you happen to notice what was playing at the movie theater?
I don't. I think it's now a souvenir place. I don't think
Really?
they have one anymore. Maybe they still show it, but it was. It's basically all baseball cards and baseball stuff now. But here's what they got. These taking youth teams to baseball places has become big business. Omaha does it. They have out in the country, about 5-6 miles out of town, about 20 barracks that looks like a Marine base getting ready for World War II. It's huge there, and then they got incredible numbers of fields out there, and they bring in 104 teams
Oh, my.
a week for about 7, 8, or 9 weeks and charge them big money. And the parents, the kids all stay in the barracks. And they might play games at 2 o'clock in the morning if they get rain. And the parents all rent places and go drink. And so they got the whole place going year round. But this little town called Index, Index, there's about 5 houses there that were from 1880. These old farmhouses they have there. And these poor people were just sitting there having this nice, peaceful life, see a cow once in a while. And now they got buses and stuff and kids, and they can't be real happy with it.
I thought it was a big deal that the grandkid went out there. I'm taking it now. He was just part of this tourist trap thing that they lure 1 million teams out there.
Yes. Now I think they have a good. It's pretty well run. But how old's he?
7th grade.
Okay, yeah. I think they're charging them like $2,000 a head or something like that. I'm not sure what it is, but it's somebody from there, baseball guy from there, was telling me they're making money.
Well, even the weekend tournaments that some of these teams are paying, and these parents are putting up thousands of dollars for travel expenses. It's ridiculous. It really is.
It is. It is, and it's it's. That's what's great about the St. Paul Hall of Fame history. Mm-hmm. These guys all rode their bike to Jimmy Lee and played baseball at Dunning or the park.
8 high schools in the country have produced 2 Hall of Famers.
That's amazing.
And Eddie Murray and Ozzie Smith were teammates on the same high school team. Yeah.
Now, you probably go to Watts or play, Compton, and find more Hall of Famers, and maybe it's closer together. But I doubt if there's been 4 as close together as these guys.
No.
I mean, in the bigger cities.
And for a place with winter.
Yes. Lavelle drove it off. He said 3.2 miles.
Mm-hmm. Really?
From Jack.
Wow.
From Jack to Joe. And then
Winnie and Molitor were in between.
Detours to Molitor and Winnie. 3.2 miles.
That's incredible.
It really is.
It is. And if you throw Jack out, it's about a mile.
Yeah.
Because of the other 3 guys. And the other thing about him is Joe comes from no money. Mm-hmm. Molly comes from no money. Winnie comes from no money, and Jack's dad was, middle class, maybe middle revenue. But they, that's what's they just played ball. I still think my favorite Joe photo is the one with the basketball team.
Oh, I love
Which one's Joe?
Which one's Joe?
Terrell Suggs is in that photo, the NBA player.
That's
the
crazy.
NFL future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He lived there. I think he lived in town until he was in the 7th grade. He's on that team.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So anyway, it was fun. It was good to see him.
Well, better pause.
You know what? 4th youngest Hall of Famer of all time.
Really?
Yeah. Koufax, I think, is the youngest.
I don't know who said it, but when Joe was there, it looks like he could still play.
Oh, God.
With that swing, he probably could still play.
Yeah, he was. He done it 34. Not too many guys have done it. Not too many Hall of Famers. Most of them hang around,
Sure.
Yeah. So, anyway.
Jim Paul.
Pause. Jim Paul Valley Group of GM dealers. Boy, as Joe was saying, if I had one of those cars, let's say the Hummer EV.
Yep.
I would have gotten that baby and drove from Philadelphia rather than wait for the chaos to go. But right now, Jim Paul, Brett Paul, Valley Group of GM dealers, Apple Valley and Hastings. I've been telling you, interest rates are low, 0.9, 1.9. Factory rebates are back, and they have every vehicle you're looking for. The chip problem has been solved. And GMC and Buick are producing every one of their very popular brands right now. Also, very good used car surplus out there. Not surplus, but, stock out there. And I've had a couple used cars bought out there and a lot of new ones, and I trust them implicitly. Jim Paul, Brett Paul, Valley Group of GM dealers. Summer's a good time to buy a vehicle. You can still buy one and get to the lake in it. So check them out.